Thank you very much. Welcome yet to another edition of the Global Matters. Without much ado, our topic of discussion tonight is about, as you know, the saga regarding the assets of the former president, Yahya Jammeh. It started from a situation where no one was really anticipating that we will get here. My eminent panelists, Ambassador Essa and veteran journalist, Jawo, and former information minister. What is your take on the situation or the evolving situation in the Gambia regarding the former assets of the president? DA, I start with you. Isn't it incredible for you, in your perspective, that this is tilting towards pro-Yaya or elements of regarding, something that is favorable publicity for Yahya Jammeh? What is your take?
Thank you, Ebrima. Yeah, I don't think it is an indication that there is an insurgent or whether a search for pro-Yaya or whatever. I think the question is, these assets no longer belong to Yaya because they have already been transferred to, Gambia owns them. Because, they assume that Yaya actually looted these things from the Gambian people, and now they have been returned to the Gambian people. But what people are concerned about is the way and manner it has been managed. There is no transparency whatsoever. How many of the assets? What happened to the assets? Who's bought the assets? How much the amount was? What is the amount being used for? All these are issues that actually concern Gambians. I think Yaya is, of course, because they formerly belonged to Yaya, but it's not a question of now that they are owned by Yaya. I think these are, properties of the Gambian people nowadays. And the question is, what has happened to these assets? That is what people are concerned about.
Let me interject here, Dia, before I give the mic to Ambassador C, who is, of course, waiting for his turn. But you will have to hold it there because I'm holding on to my gun. Now, talking about the issue of the assets that belong to Yaya, well, I think I disagree with you in a way, because if Yaya was paid this salary, which was more than what any Gambian would receive, he can buy properties that belong to him. So to say that all the assets are confiscated, that whatever belonged to Yaya it now belongs to the Gambian people, to me, I think it's like a miscarriage of justice, from that point of view.
But I think what we are referring to here is assets that have already been taken over by the government. Whether, they did it in the correct way or not, but the very fact that the government has taken possession of the assets, then the assets become the property of the people of the Gambia. That's what I'm saying. How?
Entirely. You mean entirely, whatever Yaya possesses, even the compound in Canela, whatever asset. Because my point of view is like, okay, assets that some of them might be in controversial circumstances, like how did he acquire them? But again, for somebody who ruled the Gambia for 22 years, having this a kind of in Gambian standard, or not in Gambian standard, international standard, a decent salary, he can buy properties that he acquired through his salary. So you mean after you leave power, now all those assets will belong to the Gambia government? That's what I want clarity on.
It is not very clear yet here, actually, whether all the assets that Yaya ever owned in the Gambia have been taken. Because I'm not even sure about his compound in Canela, because I think that was a family compound. I don't think the government has taken over that place. I'm not very sure about it. But what I'm saying is, the circumstances of what means the government used to take over his properties are another issue altogether. But the very fact that those properties have already been taken over by the government, now they belong to the people of the Gambia, no longer to Yaya Jammeh or anybody else. That's what I'm saying. But again, the circumstances of how it came about is another issue altogether.
Okay. Now, Ambassador Essa, we've seen the situation descend into something else. No one was expecting that for 8 years now, 7 to 8 years now, after the judge decided to conduct its probe about, the former president's asset or his dealings, corruption, whatever, they decided to have a comprehensive list of all the assets. But the assets were disposed of. Now, Gambians, actually, very few people knew how this thing transpired. Now, after 8 years, Gambians have decided, especially youth, decided to come out and say, you know what? We, thanks to an investigative newspaper, the Republic, it decided to run series about how this thing transpired. The controversy then sparked, and then we are now where we are, where as we speak, 27 youths are already in custody, charged with unlawful assembly. What is your take so far?
Thank you very much, Ebrima. There is one point I would beg to differ with many people inside and outside the Gambia is what sparked the aftermath of the story by Mustafa Dabo or the Republic. I looked through the situation and then looked at all the angles, but I think the greater mistake that caused this chaotic situation was done by or was made by the Minister of Justice himself, Dauda Jallo. Because why do I say so? I have no reason to point at him for no reason. You see, because the moment he was, sometimes people will tell you that's the law, that's the law, that's the law. That is the easiest way to escape responsibility sometimes. Everybody knows the law is supreme and is above everybody. We know that. We all have to respect the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. But is everybody a law expert? In fact, some people claim to be law experts in the Gambia, but if they have to cross Karang, they may not even be considered law experts. Not to disrespect them, but that's the truth. Now, when he said that they are not going to release, you see, language matters. Communication, one has to understand, test the pulse of society, observe the mood of society, and then try to balance your words when you are speaking. Because when you say some people, that's what ignited them. Because when Republic released it, many people were not saying a lot about it, but now we saw Standard newspaper, we are not going to release it. And in 2024, another story was said. We are hearing revelations from people who are at the National Assembly. Some of them, in fact, I believe are in the ruling party. If I stand to be corrected, but I think I saw one of the National Assembly members trying to find facts, and he is in the ruling party. So I believe I respect people like that, because the issue is when you say we are not going to release, you see, that's maybe for him, he did not think about it that way, but that's confrontational, and that's what sparks reactions. He could have just said, we have heard you, we are going to look into this. If need be, we will also call the parties who are involved in it, bring back everybody from the Jammeh Commission to the Ministry of Finance, and then we organize an emergency cabinet meeting and we'll come out with a cabinet paper. You see, those kind of things, if you say it, is better. For me, I believe he ignited most of it. That's what I believe. That's my opinion, though, because I may be wrong, I may be right, but I think I've never heard in any country where expressing your opinion is illegal. Okay? Now, that is where I differ with many people, because the Republic did not hide. He did not speculate. He did not use a pen name. Mustafa Dabo wrote and used his name. He is there in the Gambia. I think I've met him before, briefly, but I think the person I saw, if he was not sure of what he was writing, I don't think he will ever write the story. You are a journalist. DA is a journalist. I think, like the American president said, I like quoting him. I don't know his name again, but he said he would rather live in a country without a government than a country without journalists, Because many people are talking about human rights lawyers, human rights officers. For me, the best human rights defenders are impartial journalists, because they are not paid salaries to do it. They are not working at NCHRC or whatever they call that office. They do it voluntarily. Those are the real human rights fighters, or CSOs, civil society organizations, or people who are just concerned about their republic. So that's where I wanted to begin with, because like I said, in one of the interviews you did prior to this one about the reactions of Gambians, I will repeat the same thing. This is not a circus of blame games. This is not also a circus of polluted propaganda and sound bites in defense of a system. This is a national concern. Anybody who does not tell that to the president, you are misleading him. You are giving him a very bad advice. This is not to be joked with. Okay? So now, Yahya Jammeh's properties, they say it's forfeited. All right? But when some of us who are not even law experts, I believe when you go to court, there is a verdict, and then the court lays its hand on somebody's property, maybe you owe the bank. I think it's after the judgment that people can proceed, and the court clerk will proceed to now, or I forgot the title again, will proceed to sell that compound, isn't it? Mm-hmm. But I don't know what kind of justice system they can use to justify that. Like you said, Ebrima, I understand where Honorable was coming from, because when he says they are Gambia's properties, yes, because they said legally they have been forfeited. Before that, DA never said that they are Gambian properties, because they said they forfeited it based on what? Recommendation from the Jammeh Commission. Okay? The recommendation of most of these commissions. How did we end up seeing a person like Yankuba Toure at Mile 2? It was because of the TRRC. So people did not disrespect these constitutions, these commissions. Okay? So now if you say all that, you turn around and tell people that these are President Jammeh's properties, former President Jammeh's properties. I mean, you made a point there, Ebrima Baldeh, like, from the time he joined the gendarmerie to the time he became a president until he was deposed, I don't think one can say that there is nothing that Yahya owns.
Exactly. That's the point.
Because even if he built houses at Kanilai, Allah loves the truth. We have to be very impartial. Now, if some people, the way I see them right, it makes me wonder, because it's Yahya Jammeh, it doesn't matter. He has to lose, Now, what is the difference between you and the one you're accusing then? Because there, you are not using law as the arbiter. You are using emotions. Okay? But that's what should make us different from Yahya, if they are accusing him of being what he is and everything. Now, I think the law has to take its course. Let us do the right thing. If the right thing is not done, nobody can ever bury right. It will come up one day. Right will always ride on might. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Ambassador C, for that thorough explanation. Dear, coming back to you, we've seen the arrest of 27 youths, and I'm sure you have also seen the videos of the way these youths are, so much concerned about the country and concerned about what really transpired. It was symbolic, so to speak. What are the take-home lessons here from your perspective, dear?
Yeah, I think that was a big mistake on the part of the police. I think the IGP made a mistake by refusing to permit. They asked for a permit. That is Gala. That is Gambians against looted, assets or whatever. I mean, they actually applied for a permit to go on a peaceful, demonstration. Just a peaceful march. And I think what the IDP should have done was, he should have issued them the permit, allow them to march from point A to point B. All that would have done was probably just cause a little bit of noise here and there, make maybe, few slogans here and there, and then that would have been it. They would go home. Everybody would have gone home. But the very fact that he has refused them that permit, the youths have decided to come out in the street anyway. And now the police have started arresting them. And this is going on and on. This is it's a dangerous situation as far as I'm concerned. Nobody knows where this is going to end because, people have been, we know what the security forces have been accused of during the Jammeh regime. And, we thought that probably with security sector reform and everything else, they are a different kettle of fish altogether. But what we have seen on social media, how the police have been handling these youths, definitely is quite worrisome, and I think it's not an advice. I mean, not a wise, move as far as the police are concerned. We have examples of situations like this. Neighboring Senegal is here. This is what the Macky Sall government has been doing. Not allowing the youths to express themselves, and then that turned out very chaotic. At the end of the day, what did we see there? There was a regime change. So I think the government needs to be very, very careful about this issue.
Dia, you wrote a piece today, an opinion piece, which was well written, but you drew our attention to the 1981 coup. Some of us were very small, maybe 2 or 1 years old. So you reminded us, the present generation about.
Well, I'm making a little bit of comparison here.
Exactly. What happened to 1981 looted properties? That one was instituted by the government, but after it was thrown
so Ambassador C would, bear witness. During the 81 coup attempt by Kukoi, there was a lot of looting that took place. People.
I was not 2 years old, but I was little.
Well, whatever it came, but I'm sure you. Well,
I'm above somebody.
Yeah, that was, and eventually, the government decided to set up the commission looted properties or whatever. And the former ambassador Ebu Tal was made the commissioner of looted goods, and then, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of chaos at the end of the day. People accused the commissioners of, pilfering with the recovered goods and other things. But anyway, I was just trying to make a comparison. Here we are today in a similar situation as recent, but this time round, it is instead of the government setting up the committee, it is a civil society group that have formed themselves into this committee, and they are asking for, for government to explain what has happened to these goods, because most people believe that, Jammeh looted these goods from these properties from the Gambian people. Now the government has decided to take over these properties in the name of the Gambian people. But what has happened to the properties? What has happened to, that is what the youths are interested in. And the very fact that the police have denied them permit and decided to arrest them, I think it's a very dangerous situation. I don't know where this is leading us to. But, I think reason should prevail so that they would sit down and talk. And, it's not maybe too late in the day to salvage the situation. But if they allow this to drag on forever, it's going to be a lot of problem.
Before I turn to Ambassador Essa, let me give you a last shot on this question. Related to it is the issue of, the retreat, I would say today, about the youths in Serekunda. The protest was a kind of now the youths, the police, I think, learned a lesson or two. Instead of arresting them, they let them go, and they said they were there to ensure, calm and orderliness, there. So you think the police will not admit tacitly, openly, that what they did on Thursday was wrong, but now with a proper reflection, they decided now to calm down because the youths are determined and they don't know where.
Yeah, let's hope that reason will prevail at the end of the day, and they will release those who are already detained, and then maybe sit down with them and discuss, and if necessary, even give them approve their permit to go on and make the demonstration. That's it. But that's the only way out. Because if they insist on, arresting people, detaining them, for how long? If you take these people to court and maybe convict them, that is even going to be worse. So I think they should definitely, IGP Toure should definitely think about the consequences of what he's doing.
Ambassador C, what was your reaction when you saw this youth, young, determined, being, ready to even jump into the van? Some of them, had, that rough confrontation. And audios, you can hear what they are saying. What actually seeped through your mind as you were processing these videos and knowing the country, having been, for many years, been, a political commentator of Gambian affairs, political affairs, what really do you take home with you as you, process these events on Thursday?
Thank you, Mr. Baldeh. In fact, I'm stemming from not being a commentator, but being a person who is from that culture itself, because I gave a speech in the Gambia and I told the security forces that Anything I become today in this world, I was molded from them before even going to continue my education. So everybody in the Gambia knows that I have a passion for the police and the army and all that because I live the situation. I know what they face. My disappointment, though, and I'm going to make it very, very bold to the IGP, is that he was one of those who said that he admires some people like us for having stood against the former president. He told me facial, and I believe him, and other people. So what we were saying yesterday, if I see him being part of it today, I don't think that will increase the respect. Because the issue is this. Every government that comes in place will cling on to this Public Order Act. A Public Order Act that was promulgated by colonialists in 1961, or maybe even before that. They dragged it and then again changed it a little, amended a little bit in 1963 based on archives. So there, the colonialists, if you look at it, sequence of events, chronologically, they are even better than the post-colonial governments. Sure, because 1963, it stopped there. Sadauda Kairaba Jawara might not have been using it forcefully as the former regime, and this regime is starting to do, but it was not amended again until 2009, based on the archives we saw. So now you can see that if you are on a post-colonial government, you are calling yourself an African brother. You are the one presiding over the matters of a country where everybody is a black, not a white colonialist. But you still find solace in maintaining a Public Order Act that was brought or was established by a colonial power. So are you borrowing might to fight right? Or are you just letting go the past and then just continue doing what is right? I have no respect for that Public Order Act. And some people will say this. When I say I don't have no respect for it, it's because we inherited it from the colonialists. By now, we shouldn't be proud of using such an act to maintain order. What order? I wrote an article. You know, sometimes this is what I keep telling the leadership. You see, leadership is not about feeding your soul within hegemony. Right now, if D.A. Jawo goes to GRTS or speaks or writes, people will tell you that, oh, this man doesn't like you, he's an opposition. You see, these are the things they put, and leaders, some of our leaders think that is comfort zone for them, when actually it's destructive for them. Nobody has that power in this world for you to say, if you sneeze, we say you are right. If you cough, we say you are right. If you sleep, we say, no. Muhammad Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not get that. Okay? So this has to be put in the heads of leadership sometimes. Well, now, like I said, if you always depend on minister said this, director said this, IGP said this, permanent secretary said this, then I'm fine. No. That is the most dangerous way of running a country. Because some of those people, what they tell you is in their favor. Okay? And those are the very people who will turn around, go to a minister who is critical minded like DA or like yourself, and then say, this man doesn't like you because he is always against you. No, he is not against you. He is against what will destroy you. This is the issue. For me, when I wrote that article, I knew this was coming because some of them will run around. You know, Gambia, sometimes it makes me laugh. When I was in the streets there, you see somebody pass you with a car without a number plate, with tinted glasses. People will say, oh, these are the guys in power. That is a cartel culture. That is not security. Security people who run around the Gambia with shades running around. If you look at them, you know, some of them, you know, man, my can. You're already blowing your cover. I can do that. You know, because the reason why you are at the Gambia Police Force, at the Gambia Armed Forces, at the SIS, at GRA, National Drug, because there is a population that voted that government into power. If not, who are you? You are nobody. You see, the thing is, Ebrima, for me, and I'm going to make that quite clear, Allah knows when I arrived in Louisville here, I spoke to some people. One is a Gambian, the others are. And there's another Gambian in Michigan. He once gave me material for us to help the anti-crime. When I wrote this article, I said, I called on Ebrima Baldeh. I know him personally. We were at the Gambia College. I wouldn't blame him. Maybe he's taking orders. But sometimes also, I'm taking orders. Sometimes use your intellect to change the situation. And what I told them is what happened. Didn't I tell them that give them the permit, just go side by side with them, and then some of them will not want to listen. They will say, Kimoy kan, man my Essa, Yotami I can. You see, these are the kind of things that destroy a country, Ebrima. I mean, the thing is, I'm very passionate about what I'm saying right now. What I want to say is, I had taken upon myself to go to the police here, to other places, to get them taser guns, to get them metal detectors. And I'm saying it right in this program today, to get them traffic justice. I have told everybody I contacted that I don't need it anymore. I'm not going to do it. You know why? I will not advise the police anymore. Those of them who have any links with me, and then they know what we do together, let them not even waste their time. Because you know why? One of the things that agitate me most and irritate me is when I see arrogance. Because when people are talking to you, advising you, listen to them. If you are not an expert in what you think you are an expert in. We hear a lot of people calling themselves expert in the Gambia. They are not even close to being an expert. They have to listen to reason. Because they should not even have refused them. Now look at it. This is how authority erodes. You refuse them the permit. Okay? Some defied you and came. All right? You arrest some and keep them, disperse them in different stations. Now, the people that came out today are, I think, threefold or twofold or 100 times more. Like DA said, do they know where this is going to end?
Yeah, I was coming to that. Before moving on to DA, Ambassador C, this effect of protest and demonstration, God forbid, the Gambia is not spared when it comes to what is happening. We know, I mean, we are living in a global village. Excuse my cliche. But what are the undercurrents, accompanying some of these agitations, especially by the youth, something that is ingrained in their minds that they want to see changes. Sometimes it may be mundane of all things, and then it catapults into something that nobody was really expecting. What is your take?
So, my take on this, you always hear me say things like forces of chaos. This is the good breeding ground of forces of chaos. You see, DA brought 1981. Let's go back to 2000. April 11.
And April 10.
Ebrima Baldeh was arrested in Brikama. Some people manhandled him. To a certain extent, Yahya Jammeh was blamed for it because of the interpretation that they gave to him in Cuba. Sometimes leadership, if you're a president, you, as I always say, you have to catapult yourself out of the people you hear every day and test the waters. Don't be scared of testing the waters or feel that if I do it, I'm weak. You see, tolerance in leadership, intelligence in leadership, maturity in leadership, listening skills is leadership, is what I call bravery. The easiest route is to send people, arrest this guy who wrote this article, or Ebrima, DA, arrest them. That's the easiest way. That is not security. No, that's repression. Repression and security are different. Okay, because in fact, the police today, they can even make a point, because some of the police, my brother is there, he's an AIG, who suffered more than him? Pate Jallo, his brother, the same mother and father was killed. So the police also have a case. But this case is come and talk to the youth. Why do the police believe that they cannot be diplomatic? Now I'm seeing endless press releases. I think this is the IG today. He is an IG. I would see it as his office is a printing machine of press releases. Every time these press releases mean nothing. You have to be coming to the television. You know what I don't like? I've seen people in the Gambia, some of our security, bosses, they call them. They are in uniform, but they act like permanent secretaries. You know?
Okay.
And sometimes you have the Security Council, they will go there, have a meeting. You bring in some permanent secretaries, do not even know what is A and B about security. And they'll be talking there, pulling from Wikipedia, pulling from Webster, pulling from everywhere, convoluted mindset, and they talk big. You may think that they're saying something fake with data.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So this is my standpoint on this, because this should not have reached this stage. The president should be told that repression is not security, and any leader. Now look at it. Like you always like using the word. I wrote it, algorithm. Algorithm is at work. You know what? Before I end here, Ebrima, what they don't know is demonstrations during the AI age. It's not how many people are at the edge. When I come out of my door, and I may even do it, I did it during Jammeh's time. There was a demonstration in the Gambia. I stood at my door and took my placard. But when I posted it, now if they film these things they are filming, the algorithm and all that, how yesterday I saw 5 hours, 4.1K thousand viewers. Let them understand statistically that all those people have attended the demonstration in terms of AI. And that is very bad. Within 48 hours, have you seen how much it has stained the clean cloth that the president was claiming he has as a Democrat? We are just, our media is just from Denver, Colorado. They went home. You think the lawyers there, the Secret Service there, the judges there. In fact, the ruling is yet to happen. It will be in August, inshallah. You think those people are not following the journalists that came to, they are looking at them.
Exactly. Okay.
Then they will say, why you came here for court has not changed in the Gambia. In fact, which is I'm sorry to talk like this, because I told you today that if you tune me on this one, you will get a tsunami. Now look at because look at it now. The same Public Order Act is what was used at Westfield to arrest Solo Sanding and kill him. The same Public Order Act is what Michael Correa and all these junglers were using when people demonstrate. They arrest them and take them, they torture them. Now, what do you think the courthouse in Colorado will say? They say, okay, they came to talk about the former president, but the same law is still in the Gambia. And that's the fact. Thank you.
Yeah. So, dear, Ba Tambadou today was on a damage control mode at the at his appearance on the Coffee Time program with Peter Gomez. Peter gave him over 1 hour for him to, among others, declare his name because it's already stained. And I know for the fact that the court of public opinion were not kind to him, thanks to the comments that were generated after we published verbatim that interview he had on our Issues That Matter channel. The comments until now, as we do this program, have been generated, but most of them are not really taking none of it, what he's saying. They say it's mere excuses here and there. Only a few comments so far tend to say that maybe the journalist, that is Mustafa Dabo of the Republic, somehow did not do his work. But that's court of public opinion. You don't expect everything to tilt in your favor. But majority of Gambians, I can say, are quite convinced that Ba is really has no way to say that he is not indicted. So what is your take on that? And added to that, the last segment of our talk show is about the disappointment we receive or we getting from the National Media Council and the National Human Rights Commission about how they are trying to save Ba's skin, to try to mend his, already, stained image. First of all, start with the first question I sent to you.
Thank you, Ebrima. With regards to Ba Tambadou, I really tend to sympathize with him, because, okay, there is no way you can get Ba out of the equation. Being the Attorney General and Minister of Justice during that period, definitely he cannot escape the blame of whatever happened. But, he was just a cog within the wheel. He was a member of the government. I have absolutely no doubt that all the actions that he was taking, probably had the blessing of the government. In fact, the government came out with a press release to indicate that there was a ministerial task force or a ministerial committee that actually was responsible for this particular issue. So Ba kind of was just a coordinator of that thing, but you cannot heap all the blame on Ba, because whatever he was doing in the name of the government. So that's the situation. I think it's the responsibility of the government to come out and explain, what has happened, what actually transpired, where these assets are, who sold them, who bought them, and how much, and all those things. That is the responsibility of the government, not Ba as an individual. Even though, as I said, being the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, there is no way he can get out of the equation. Absolutely none. With regards to the other issue about the National Media Council and also the National Human Rights Commission being involved in some sort of a controversy, accused, the leadership of these two organizations, accused of meeting Mustafa Dabo and trying to convince him to either, apologize, whatever. I think that was definitely unfortunate, because particularly with regards to Emmanuel Diouf as chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, I think it was unfortunate that he got himself involved in this, and it's definitely going to, follow him for a long, long time, because everybody is talking about it, condemning what has happened. In the case of the Secretary General and chairman of the National Media Commission as well, that is Emil Toure and Babukar Cham. I think they also should never have been, in such a situation. In the case of Emil, I think he should have never been, even at this stage, he should even relinquishing the position of Secretary General of the Media Commission, because he's appointed. Both he and Babukar Cham have been appointed commissioners of the Access to Information Commission, which is headed by Nene Magdol Gay. And I think, the very moment both of them were, because presently Babukar Cham is the chairman of the board of the Media Council, while Emil is the Secretary General, and both of them are also commissioners at the Access to Information Commission. I think it's a kind of a conflict of interest. The very moment they have been appointed commissioners, they should have relinquished that position, because they cannot be able to run these two institutions, which are completely different. I think it is unfortunate, but it shouldn't have happened at all. Absolutely not.
Okay. Finally, Ambassador C, you have the last shot in the firing range.
I don't know why you just always like bringing machine guns before me. I'm no longer a soldier. I'm a civilian. Okay.
Okay. So now, what is your take on the rather unfortunate situation involving journalist to journalist or human rights council? How can an umbrella institution like such as the National Media Council, even though you are not a journalist, but this issue about the former president's asset that has to do with it, Mustafa Dabo trying to, in other words, to put cold water on it and tell him to come back and say, you know what, I made an error. Why is this? How do you see this? What is your own take? You are not.
Ebrima, I'm laughing because you're talking about people that I know. Not personally very close, but I know them, and then we have respect for each other. But when it comes to the case of Ba, that's exactly what I was saying. I know that what Dia was saying, I sympathize with him too, because, he's been there as a brother and he's been working. But I am going to be very frank here. In as much as I hear some people would say the only thing that the president I would advise him to do, and let him be careful of not making that mistake, is to be the one taking the lead to arrest. even though he is the president. Okay? Let him play the role of the arbiter and then try to use preventive diplomacy. Because at the end of the day, these demonstrations and everything, whatever happens, everybody will dump it on his head. And that's where I am always concerned. Even during Jammeh's time, I used to say this to Jammeh. Because the point is that, yes, there is cabinet. Yes, the president appointed Ba. It is true. But why did the president appoint Ba as the Attorney General? Isn't it because of expertise in law? Now, if they will say that he is just part of the machine, but you are a part of the machine, but your position in the machine is because of you are the fuel pump. You are the one who will distribute the fuel for the machine to run as far as justice is concerned. So I would not buy somebody telling me, yeah, because I am not alone in it. You are not alone, yes. It is a government, yes. But today, for example, if anything is wrong with the diplomatic field, how many times have we had people bringing Mamadou Tangara on the chopping board? How many times have we had people bringing Abdoulaye Sanyang on the chopping board as the Minister of Interior? How many times have we had people bring Sidi Keta on the chopping board? Well, it is the same situation. So for me, it's not like I am blaming Ba or anything, but if I were to advise Ba, he would not even continue going around the media houses or writing anything. What he would do is to coordinate with his colleagues for something to be set up, like a presidential commission of inquiry or anything, for them to look into this and then talk to the public with facts. Okay, no human being exists to be right in everything 100%. You cannot, because we are not angels. We are not angels. We are human beings. But that also does not mean I will just say, okay, he's just taking orders, because that's what we saw at TRRC. And exactly what I used to tell Yahya Jammeh. There will come a day, everybody will start saying, you are the leader, I'm not alone. That's what we are seeing these days. That's my understanding. Maybe that's not what they want to say, but that's my understanding that. So, Ba, for me, is a Bokar, I would never sit and jubilate over a Gambian, losing a job internationally. I don't have any interest in that. But why are they bringing that into the equation? In fact, is that even good for Ba? Let him just talk about it as a Gambian. Let them, even if he is not the one saying it, those people saying it, that he's vying for a job, let them not bring that into the discussion, because this is an internal matter. But the moment you brought it in, that's why other Gambians also said, okay, we are going to write petitions the same way we did with Mamadou Tangara when he was trying to get the Commonwealth chairmanship. You see, because some of them are the ones who ignite those things to remind people about it. I cannot sit here and say that he should be exonerated. Neither is DA saying it, neither are you saying it. Sympathizing with him doesn't mean that he cannot be held responsible in this whole thing. The only thing that can exonerate Ba is for them to go through the facts and let them do the right thing. Now, what other question were you asking? Okay, the National Media Commission is called, right?
Media Council.
National Media Council. Yeah, and then the National Human Rights Commission. Well, for me, I think Emmanuel, instead of being an arbiter, he should have just been a catalyst. He could have been behind the scenes, organize things to be done, not to appease anybody, but for them to sit down and then see where the columns of facts will be put. This column, this column, this. But for me, really, I agree with Honorable there. It's just unfortunate. I just even don't know why in this world, why would Emmanuel himself sit there? Even if it was the Mr. Toure, I can even understand that he has some, because if you are telling me about national human rights, whose human rights was Emmanuel defending there? If there is a human rights to be defended, it should be Mustafa Adab. Because he is the I mean, the little man in terms of not being in government. He is the young man. He is the one who has a future to, and I think he is the one who deserves human rights to be defended. But why would they bring the subject of, because even if you want to make somebody sit there for the pride of Gambian, that you have to be a judge at the International Court of Justice or whatever, even if you want that, remember we live in a world where people read news. Whether you talk about it or not, they will know it. And if Allah says that, you see, some of us, we go to the mosque, we pray, we go to the church, we pray, but I don't think we really believe in what we are praying to. If Allah says Ba is going to be sitting on that chair as a judge, nobody can stop it.
Exactly.
But at the same time, also, nobody can stop the Gambians from holding people accountable. Look, this is like one of them said, this is a generational wealth. Okay? So it has to be put through, like I said, this is not a blame game. I don't know why anybody would feel that I'm being blamed, I'm not the only one. No, let them just calm down, remain steady, come, and then you see this question of a government starting to see itself as us and them, us and them. That's what brings tension. How can you be us and them when it's the people who voted you in the power? The people that the president should worry about to appease with is not a minister, it's not a director, it's not a power minister, because he has the pen that appoints them. The people that he should be worried about to engage, to appease is the Gambian people, because we the people are the power, not the cabinet.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for this interesting panel on the assets of the former president, Jammeh, and his aftermath. We hope and pray for our motherland, the Gambia. Thank you for the show. And join us next week for another edition of the program. I'm Ebrima Baldeh.